The Hornets take on the Wizards, 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Washington's -4, totals 216. We went 4-2 in our 6 premium sports picks on brockpage.com yesterday. And if you want to see which one of these free YouTube picks on this channel that I'm actually betting on personally, there's only one way to do that, and that's to sign up for a membership on my website at brockpage.com. We're 10-4 in our last 14 college basketball tier package picks on that website. And the good news is we have another college basketball tier package pick going off here today. We're also 15-2 with a push in our last 18 extra daily picks on that very same website. And if you want to access today's extra daily pick, it's only going to cost you just $2.99. We currently have over 975 members who are signed up and active on that site. And if you find yourself really enjoying this video here today, please feel free to give it a thumbs up by smashing that like button. And if you want to connect with me on a daily basis, please feel free to hit that subscribe button and join the Brock Page family. I'd love to connect with you on a daily basis. And with that, guys, the Wizards have won 6 out of their last 8 ball games, 7-1 straight up at the Capital One Arena. They're very good at home. The Wizards are allowing only 103 points per contest, and they're limiting their opponents to just 30% shooting from 3 land at home. Kyle Kuzma's grabbing 8 defensive rebounds a game, 13 points a night offensively for Kuz. And speaking of offense, Bradley Beal's dropping over 23.5 points a night, along with 5 boards, 5 assists. The Wizards are in the top 10 in home scoring. They're taking on a Charlotte team who allows 116 points a game on the road, and they're in the bottom 3 in defensive rebounding. The Hornets are also winning just 40% of their ball games away from home. Now, injury-wise, Washington is doubtful for Charlotte. Meanwhile, for Washington, Bryant is out. Bertans is questionable. I'm going to lean toward Washington -4 over 216. Next game, Nets, Cavs, 7 o'clock Eastern start time. Brooklyn's -6, totals 209. The Nets are on a 2-game winning streak, 8-2 straight up in their last 10. The Nets are leading the NBA in offensive three-point percentage. They're also in the top 3 in road scoring. Kevin Durant's averaging over 28.5 points a night, 7 rebounds, 4 assists for KD. Durant's also hitting 43% of his three-pointers. Meanwhile, James Harden is scoring over 21 points a night himself, 7 rebounds, 8 assists for Harden. Now, defensively, the Nets are holding their opponents to just 31% shooting from beyond the arc. They're taking on a Cleveland squad who failed to cover in their last 3 straight, 0-3 against the number in those 3 losses. Mobley's still out. Osman and Stevens are doubtful. The Cavs are scoring just 98 points a game at home, and they're in the bottom 3 in home offensive rebounding. Now, total-wise, Cleveland's 7-1 to the under at home. Brooklyn's 10-7 to the under for the whole season. I'm leaning toward Brooklyn -6, under 209. Next matchup, Rockets, Celtics, 7:30 p.m. East. Boston's -11.5, totals 214 and a hook. The Celtics have won 3 out of their last 4 ball games, 7-3 straight up in their last 10. Boston has also gone 70% against the number in their last 10 outings, and they're in the top 10 in offensive rebounding. Jaylen Brown scoring over 25.5 points a game, 6 rebounds, 2.5 assists for Brown. Jaylen's also drilling 40% of his three-pointers. Meanwhile, Jason Tatum scoring 25.5 points a game himself, 8 rebounds, 3.5 assists for Tatum. Now, defensively, the Celtics are in the top 3 in the association in second quarter points allowed. They're taking on a 1-15 Rockets team who averages just 100 points a game, and they rank dead last in offensive free throw percentage. The Rockets are also connecting on just 31% of their three-pointers. Now, injury-wise, Wall is still out. Porter is questionable. When it comes to the total on this one, 5 out of Houston's last 9 got over the line, throwing out the Knicks game. Meanwhile, Boston saw their last 2 get over the total themselves, 4-3 to the over at the Garden. I'm going to lean toward Boston, -11.5, over 214 and a hook. Next game, Thunder, Hawks, 7:30 p.m. Eastern start time. Atlanta's minus 11.5, totals 213. The Hawks are 7-1 straight up at home this season, 7-1 against the number in those home games. The Hawks lead the NBA in offensive field goal percentage at home. They're also scoring 116 points a game at the State Farm Arena. Trae Young is scoring over 24.5 points a night, 3 rebounds and 9 assists for Trae. Meanwhile, John Collins is scoring 17 points a night along with 8 rebounds, couple assists. They're taking on an OKC squad who lost 4 out of their last 5, and they score fewer points per contest than any other team in basketball. OKC is also shooting just 40% from the field, which is also dead last in the NBA in that category as well. Now, injury-wise, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is questionable for OKC. Bogdanović is questionable for Atlanta. When it comes to the number in this one, 5 out of Atlanta's last 8 home games fell under the number. Meanwhile, OKC 7-1 to the under in their last 8 on the road. I'm going to lean toward Atlanta minus 11.5, under 213. Next game, T-Wolves, Pelicans, 8 o'clock Eastern start time. Minnesota's minus 3.5, totals 214. But as good as the T-Wolves have been playing, they're currently dead last in the NBA in defensive rebounding. The T-Wolves also rank in the bottom 10 in points allowed per contest on the road. They're taking on a Pelicans team who's actually a slightly better rebounding team than them. They're currently in the top 10 in defensive rebounding at home. The Pels also successfully covered the point spread in 3 out of their last 6. And they're led by Brandon Ingram, who's scoring 22.5 points a night, along with 6 boards, 4 assists. Jonas Valanciunas is scoring 19 points a game himself, along with 12 boards. The Pelicans are in the top 5 in shooting from the stripe. Now, injury-wise, Graham is questionable for New Orleans. Okogie and Reed are questionable for Minnesota. And total-wise, 5 out of Minnesota's last 9 ball games got over the line, throwing out the San Antonio contest. They also saw 3 out of their last 5 road games get over the number as well. I'm going to lean toward New Orleans plus 3.5 over 214. Next game, Magic Bucks, 8 o'clock Eastern start time. Milwaukee's minus 12.5, totals 217. The Bucks have failed to cover in their last 5 straight, 2-7 against the spread in their last 9. Lopez and DiVincenzo, they're still out. Hood is questionable. The Bucks are actually in the bottom 10 in home scoring, bottom 5 in home offensive field goal percentage. Now defensively, on the other end of the court, Milwaukee's actually struggled to rebound the basketball as well. They're taking on an Orlando squad who successfully covered the point spread in their last 3 straight. Top 10 in the NBA in shooting the 3 ball on the road. Cole Anthony's dropping nearly 20 points a game, 6 rebounds, 5 assists for the point guard. Meanwhile, Franz Wagner is scoring 13 points a game himself, 3 rebounds, couple assists for Franz. Now, injury-wise, keep an eye on Cole Anthony. He's questionable for tonight's contest. Meanwhile, Moore and Carter Williams are both out for tonight's game. Now, total-wise, Orlando's 60% to the under in their last 10. Meanwhile, 3 out of Milwaukee's last 4 stayed under the line themselves. 70% to the under in their last 10 as well. I'm going to lean toward Orlando plus 12.5, under 217. Next game, Pacers, Bulls, 8 o'clock East. Chicago's minus 3, totals 212. The Bulls won 4 out of their last 5 ball games, 6-2 against the spread in their last 8. Chicago's also 12-5 against the number overall for the season, first in offensive free throw percentage. DeMar DeRozan scoring nearly 27 points a game, 5 rebounds, 4 assists for the forward. Meanwhile, Zach LaVine is averaging 26.5 points a night himself, 5 rebounds, 3 assists for Zach. The Bulls are in the top 3 in offensive three-point percentage. They're taking on a Pacer team who lost 9 out of their last 11 on the road. The Pacers are in the bottom 10 in guarding the 3 ball on the road. They're also in the bottom 5 in second quarter points allowed away from home as well. Now, when it comes to the scoring in this one, 2 out of Indiana's last 4 ball games got over the total, throwing out the Pelicans game. They also saw 6 out of their last 10 meetings with the Bulls get over the line. Meanwhile, Chicago saw 2 out of their last 4 get over the posted total themselves. I'm going to lean toward Chicago -3 over 212. Next contest, Suns, Spurs, 8:30 p.m. Eastern start time. Phoenix is -5.5, numbers 221. And as good as the Suns have been, they did fail to cover the point spread in 3 out of their last 4 ball games. They're also in the second of a back-to-back here this evening. Phoenix currently ranks in the bottom 3 in the NBA in road defensive rebounding. Now they're taking on a San Antonio club who leads the NBA in home scoring despite their recent struggles. Now, the Spurs are scoring 118 points a night at the AT&T Center. They're also in the top 3 in shooting the 3-ball there. DeJounte Murray is averaging over 18 points a game, 8 rebounds, 7 assists for the guard. Meanwhile, Keldon Johnson is scoring 15 points a night himself, 6 rebounds, couple assists for Keldon. The Spurs are in the top 3 in offensive field goal percentage at home. And injury-wise, Collins and Landale are out. Meanwhile, for Phoenix, Nader is questionable. Now, total-wise, Phoenix saw their last 2 straight get over the line. San Antonio is 6-0 to the over on their home court. I'm going to lean toward the Spurs, +5.5, over 221. Next matchup, Grizzlies, Jazz, 9 o'clock East. Utah's -10, totals 221. The Jazz are on a 3-game winning streak, 6-2 straight up on their home court. Utah's in the top 3 in scoring on average per game, top 3 in offensive rebounding. Donovan Mitchell scoring over 24 points a game, 4 rebounds, 4 assists for Don. Meanwhile, Bojan Bogdanovic is averaging over 16.5 points a night, along with 4 rebounds. They're taking on a Memphis team who allows more points per contest than any other team in the NBA. The Grizzlies are also letting their opponents drill 43% of their three-pointers against them when they travel. Now, when it comes to the injury report in this one, Melton and Merrill are out. Brooks is listed as doubtful. Now, total-wise, Memphis went 60% to the under in their last 10. Meanwhile, the Jazz are 63% to the under for the entire season. I'm going to lean toward Utah, -10, under 221. Next and final matchup, Sixers, Kings, 10 o'clock Eastern start time. Sacramento's -2, totals 221.5. The Kings have lost 7 out of their last 8 ball games, 1-7 against the spread during that stretch. Sacramento's winning just 25% of their ball games at home, and they're in the bottom 5 in points allowed per contest. They're taking on a Sixers team who should have Tobias Harris back in the lineup here tonight. Matisse Thybulle, he's also been upgraded to probable, so we should see him in action as well. And despite their current state of affairs with regards to injuries, the Sixers are still 6-3 against the spread in their 9 road games this season, and they're also in the top 3 in shooting the 3-ball on the road. Now, Tyrese Maxey's drilling over 42% of his three-pointers, 18 points a game on average for Maxey as well. Meanwhile, Seth Curry is making 44% of his three-pointers himself, 15 points a night for Curry. Philadelphia is in the top 3 in road offensive field goal percentage. Now, injury-wise, Danny Green is out. Joel Embiid is still out as well. When it comes to the total in this one, Philadelphia is 5-4 to the under on the road, 10-7 to the under for the whole season. Meanwhile, the Kings saw 6 out of their last 8 home games fall under the total themselves. I'm going to lean toward Philadelphia +2, under 221.5. And with that, guys, now it's time for our quick pick recap, powered to you by my website at brockpage.com, where we are 10-4 in our last 14 college basketball tier package picks. I like Washington -4, over 216. Brooklyn -6, under 209. Boston -11.5, over 214 and a hook. Atlanta -11.5, under 213. New Orleans Pelicans +3.5, over 214. Orlando Magic +12.5, under 217. I'm also leaning toward Chicago -3, over 212. San Antonio +5.5, over 221. Utah Jazz -10, under 221. And before I give you my next and final free pick for the video, One final reminder that we are 10-4 in our last 14 college basketball tier package picks on BrockPage.com. We're also 15-2 with a push in our last 18 extra daily picks on that very same website. I'm going to lean toward Philadelphia +2, under 221.5. With that, guys, now it's time for our shout out of the day. And that's going to go to KS2021, who said earlier this morning, Brock, you're a legend. Can't wait for your NBA picks. With that, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on BrockPage.com. If you guys do end up getting a membership here today on that website, just keep in mind you're going to get billed the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. So if you do end up getting a membership here today on BrockPage.com, just keep in mind you're going to get access to that content all the way through the end of November. Although I do tell folks in every single video, the earlier in the month you sign up, the better. But most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, guys, happy Monday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at BrockPage.com.